Okay, much larger crowd than I anticipated. That's okay. Who's ready for Halloween?
I am.
Is there anyone in here who does not celebrate Halloween for religious purposes? Make sure. Can anyone tell me the coolest or scariest costume that you've ever worn or seen? T-Rex. Did you wear it or did you see it? T-Rex. Yes.
I saw one person who looked like a possessed Teletubby.
That's what I was going to say. That just hurt me.
That is.
A teacher at his school named Mr. Sunday is going to be Jabba the Hutt. Star Wars.
That's very good. Good. Someone else had their hand up. Okay. So, a little bit of introduction. My name is Christopher Bass. I actually live in Santa Cruz Valley with my wife, my little son, Christopher, 10 years old. He's serving as my parent guy today. He has a shortened day. Santa Cruz, or the school he goes to, the days are short today. And we have a 24-year-old stepdaughter. She actually is working full-time and going to school full-time. So that is a very big scary. I am the middle child of about 5. My mother was a single parent for most of her life. Most of my life. I didn't graduate high school, but I did eventually get my GED at about 1920. I went back to college as an adult, and I eventually got a bachelor's and I got an MBA. I've started a few companies myself. I've even been in leadership positions in a lot of companies. Now, the business that my wife and I started today is called Motivational Academy. And it is a startup whose mission is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals, couples, and parents to win purposely. And what I mean by win purposely, it is to intentionally achieve that which you set out to achieve. Make sense? Okay. Before I actually get into the reason for my visit, can anyone tell me what the purpose of this college bound program is? Anyone? Yes. To have guidance from college. Fair enough. Anyone else? Yes.
Be prepared for college.
Get prepared for college. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I'm going to give you guys some stats, some statistics. And after I give you those statistics, we're going to have a quick answer, a question. There's roughly a quarter of the 320 million people, estimated 300 million people in the United States are under the age of 18. That's about roughly 74, 75 million people that are non-adults. Just 6% of the United States population is under the age of 5. So that means that between the age of 5 and 18, there's roughly 54 million school-age kids in the United States. Only 4% of that population actually is homeschooled. So the majority of kids either go to school-age kids, either go to a public or private school. Now, 8% of students in high school drop out each year. Right? And while that is an alarming number, 81% of high schoolers eventually graduate high school. Of those that graduate high school, only 66% of high school graduates actually enroll in college the following year. 66%. Of that 66% that enroll in college, only 56% of students that enroll in a 4-year degree program eventually obtain their degree within 6 years. An alarming 30% or less than 30% that enroll in a 2-year program actually get their degree within 3 years. And only 27% of college graduates actually work in a job related to their major. Now, you may be asking, why are these stats important to know? I believe that they're important to know for two reasons, right? From two perspectives, a basic science perspective and applied science perspective. Are there any science majors here? No? Okay. Can you define for me or give us an understanding of the differences between basic science versus applied science?
My major's going to be astrophysics.
Okay. So basic science seeks to increase our knowledge, our understanding of the way things work. Right? So if I'm looking at basic science or I'm looking at the stats from basic science standpoint, it is to help us understand and know why these things happen. Whereas applied science seeks to find solutions to those problems. So for example, technology is that a basic science or applied science? Applied science. It seeks to utilize the knowledge in basic science to develop products so that solve a solution that meets a need. Chemistry, is that a basic science or applied science? Basic. Computer programming, is that a basic science or applied science? Okay. So you guys have an understanding of what basic and applied science is. The reason why that is important is because when we look at those stats, right, what we do at Motivational Academy is we blend applied science with success. We take the existing knowledge that exists on success, winning, and achievement, and we develop seminars and workshops that are geared towards helping individuals not just change their thinking regarding winning, achieving, and succeeding, but also to develop the sustainable, repeatable skills necessary for someone to purposely win. Now, with that understanding in mind, I'm going to ask a few questions. Why do so many teenagers drop out of school? Does anyone have an answer to that question? Why do so many teenagers drop out of school? They don't have any life goals. Very good. Yes. You really not saying? Okay. Well, I'm going to assume that because you guys are in a college-bound program, that you will be a part of the 81% of those who will graduate high school. Now, would I be wrong in my assumption? Okay. Why do so many high school graduates not go on to college? Maybe they can't afford it. Anyone else? Yes.
Maybe they're not sure of a career to pursue.
Maybe they're not sure of a career. Anyone else? Okay. Now, because you guys are, again, in this college-bound program, I'm going to assume that you're going to be a part of the 66% of those that eventually go to college. Now, again, would I be wrong in my assumption?
No.
Okay. Now, the next questions are probably a little bit harder to answer. So I'm going to pose this question. Why are there so many students who go to college yet not graduate? Yes.
Because they're not prepared.
They're not prepared, you know. And actually, I did some research, and there really are 5 key reasons, and not being prepared is one of those reasons. Anybody else? Yes.
Their grades aren't that good, so they don't get help.
So the 5 top reasons is being unprepared to balance school, work, and family. The rising cost of tuition, too much stress, insufficient preparation and motivation, and family issues. Those are the 5 top reasons why someone who may decide to enroll in college eventually not graduate. But the most important question that I think that should be asked is why are there so few folks who actually go to college, graduate from college, but yet are not working in a job related to their major? Yes. Say that again?
There's too many students in that major.
Too many students in a major. So you're saying that the demand, so the supply is greater than the demand. Okay. Anybody else? Not many jobs available. That's kind of related, but not many jobs available. You know, I did a little research, and unfortunately, I was not able to find what I would consider to be a plausible, credible answer. So it led me to do some thinking. And my conclusion is that the motivation and goal to obtain a college education and the choice of a major are decisions that are not aligned with that person's purpose in life. Let me repeat that. Right? It's very profound. The motivation and goal to obtain a college education and the choice of a major is not in line with that purpose, true purpose in life. Instead, it is a decision or choice that unfortunately far too many students allow for others to influence, for them to be manipulated to making, or to allow for someone else to make that decision for them. I want to establish some basic truths here, right? There should be little debate about the overall impact and lifetime benefit of a college education, which is a 4-year. Does anyone dispute that? You have a greater earning power. You're able to move into the middle class within a single generation. A lot more opportunities are open to you. You develop higher order thinking, writing, and speaking skills. I mean, the benefits are tremendous, right? Yet despite those overwhelming benefits, there's a large number, the stats speak for themselves. There's a large number of kids that do not graduate high school, and there's an even larger number of kids that who do go to college don't graduate. Yeah. So think about that for a moment. Despite the overwhelming benefits, there's still some unanswered questions like, is college for everyone? Is college for everyone? I would say, depending upon your choice of careers, the answer to that question is yes. You cannot be a doctor, a lawyer, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, an engineer. You cannot be in those fields without a college education. Does anyone disagree with that? So the answer to that question is yes. If you desire to pursue those careers, you must have a college education. But what about if I want to go into sales? What about if I want to go into construction? Is a degree necessary? So for some, yes.
There's still some careers that aren't that high up that still require a college education.
Give me an example.
Like, I'm not, like my dad is a photographer, and so he went to a Santa Barbara Brook, which is a photography school,
Right.
and so he needed an education to be able to do what he does.
Okay.
But he's not like a doctor or something.
Well, again, I don't want to leave the impression that college is for everyone, or that to have a good life, that you have to go to college. But rather, the suggestion is that if you want to pursue a certain career path, then a college education is required. There are some jobs that don't require a college education, but however, if you do get a college education, it makes it a lot easier for you to advance or get started at a very high level. You don't need a college education to be a manager. But if you get a bachelor's degree in business administration, you can start at a manager's level rather than starting at a lower level. Right? So some college educations will allow for you to get started at a higher level if you have it. Okay? So keep that in mind. If you decide to go to college, what should you major in? So what I'm suggesting is there are still some unanswered questions, even when we think about the tremendous benefits that a college education can provide. And finally, should you give someone else the power to make that decision for you? Let's go back to my original statement, that the motivation and goal for a college education and the choice of a major are decisions that are not in line with a person's true purpose. Now, I think that everybody knows and understands that to achieve, to succeed, and to ultimately win, you have to have some goals that you have set as endpoints by which actions are directed towards, right? Regardless of the definition that you give a goal, it is nothing more than the things that which you aim for, you strive for, you work for. It is always future in nature, It can be in the immediate future or the distant future. Goals have an end point, and goals have a deadline, but not purpose. While everyone knows what goals are, I found that there's a smaller percentage of people that have a clear definition of what purpose is. So I'm going to ask anyone, can you define for me what purpose is? Anyone? Guys, sir. One brave soul. Define for me what purpose is. Depending upon the source, purpose can be defined as the why you are here. Your special calling, the why you were born, what you were meant to do. It is a compass that guides you. The reason for which something exists or is done. Your life's purpose is so important that not only are you willing to live by it, but you're willing to die for it as well. That's how important a purpose is. It is the one thing that you will do passionately, even if you make no money from it. Now, does anyone in this room have a purpose that they'd like to share? No. Now, you can have goals without having a purpose. You can have goals without having a purpose. A goal is deadline driven. A purpose is not. A goal has an end point. The purpose, your purpose, has no end point. A goal is future in nature. A purpose is ever present. As you get older, your goals should change. But if your purpose, if it is a true purpose, will be enduring. Does that make sense? Did I lose anybody yet? So with this understanding in mind, why is it important? Why is it important to know your purpose and to live your life in alignment with that purpose? I'll tell you why. Without purpose, you might allow for someone else to superimpose their thoughts on you of what your purpose should be. Without purpose, you might decide to drop out of high school. Without purpose, you may decide not to go to college. Without purpose, you may decide you don't even know what degree you should be pursuing. Without purpose, you might be unsure of what to do post-graduation. Without purpose, you might be going through life without that deep enthusiasm and passion that are prerequisites to living a meaningful life. Without purpose. So as we clearly see, purpose is very important. But don't get me wrong, you can still accomplish a lot in life if you don't have a purpose. You can still go to college. You can still get a good job. You can still buy a home, nice cars, travel, do a lot of fun things. You can still do those things without a purpose in it, but there are a few things that you will be missing. You'll be missing direction. You'll be missing meaning and fulfillment. Let me give you an example of my life. Prior to starting this company, I was a sales manager for a technology firm in Woodland, California. It was a great job. Made over $100,000 a year. It afforded us an ability to buy home in Santa Clarita, buy nice cars, go on vacation, live the middle-class lifestyle. However, it was a job that I could not see myself doing for the rest of my life. It was not a job that I was intrinsically motivated to do. There would be days when I would have to get up out of bed, prepare myself mentally for the day. Despite the fact that I willingly worked 60+ hours a week. Despite the fact that I took pride in doing my best. Despite the fact that I was promoted to that position. But it didn't give me meaning, it didn't give me direction, and it didn't fulfill my life. Does that make sense? Now you might be asking, if purpose is so important, how do you find out what your purpose is? Now, I brought a book with me today and I forgot to make some copies of an exercise. This book is The Principles of Success by Jack Cannon. And in this book, there's an exercise that you can walk through. It's a 4-step exercise that you can walk through. If I have time afterwards, I'd like to make copies and pass it out. But I implore you to do the exercise, because once you do, you're going to find that your life is going to have greater meaning, and you are going to be a lot clearer about the decisions that you are going to eventually have to make about whether or not to go to college, whether or not to pursue a degree, and what school to go to. You're going to have to make those decisions. And this exercise will provide you with the opportunity to be able to do so. Now, once you have that purpose, you may be asking yourself, what should I do? Now remember, having a purpose, yet acting out of alignment with that purpose, meaning that you're making decisions and doing actions that go counter to that purpose, is no better than not having a purpose at all. Does that make sense? You can have a purpose, but if you're living, if you're not living in alignment with that purpose, then it's the same as not having a purpose at all, because it's not really good. Because you will begin to do things and make decisions that you will later come to regret. You will later come to realize that it diverted you or took you off your path. That you'll be puzzled as to why did I even do that? Living in alignment with your purpose means that whenever you are at one of those decision crossroads, and you must make the decision about whether to go left or to go right, that decision is made easier when you have a clearly defined purpose. Does anyone know why? Does anyone know what a decision crossroad is? You have to make a decision. It's a hard decision. The decisions are not easy, right? Should you go left or right? But if you have a clearly defined purpose, you simply make the decision to go in the direction that is clearly in line with your purpose. You make the decision to go in a direction that is clearly in line with your purpose. Now, whatever decisions you make, you will need to have the confidence that you are making the right one and the best for you under the circumstances. Because understand this, it is you who will have to live with the consequences. Right? Not your parents, not your friends, not your teachers, not your counselors, not me, but you. You are going to have to live with the consequences, good or bad, of whatever decisions that you make. So why not make it one that is aligned with your purpose in life? Make sense? Because do you want to be one of those individuals that choose a degree, choose a college, choose a career path, and then 10, 15, 20, or 30 years later, regret having allowed for someone else to make that decision for you? Do you want to be one of those? Once you know your purpose and once you begin to make decisions that honor and that are in alignment with your purpose, the action steps become easier to identify and easier to do. There should be little second guessing and more readjustments to get yourself back on track. It's like a navigational system. Does anybody here drive? Do you know how a navigational system works? You put in a destination, right? What happens when you veer off that predetermined course, or the course that your navigation system gives you? Yes.
It reroutes.
But it constantly tells you, right? It will constantly remind you that you are not on the stated route. That is what your purpose will do for you, right? It will serve as a compass, as a navigational system to let you know when you are veering off your course. Makes sense? So, Once you know your purpose and you begin to make decisions and honor that decision and live in alignment with it, the action steps again become easier. In closing, just because you know what your purpose are, or what your purpose is, and just because you're honoring and living your life in alignment with your purpose, that does not mean, however, that your life will now be easier. That does not mean that you will no longer have obstacles. That does not mean that you won't have setbacks, that you won't encounter roadblocks, that you won't have pitfalls, that you won't have a tremendous amount of stress to deal with. That does not mean that. What it does mean is that you will need to find ways to overcome whatever challenges life or others place in your way. But if you know what your purpose is, and if you're willing to pursue that purpose, the decisions that you make and the actions that you take, it's simply a matter about deciding to make those decisions because they are strictly in alignment with your purpose. Because remember, to have a purpose and to not live your life in alignment with that purpose is no better than not having a purpose at all. Because if you desire to win, right, and I'm assuming that there are winners in here, if you desire to win, and if you desire to win purposely, not accidentally, right, but if you desire to win purposely, then those are the things that you're going to have to decide. And I would implore that the soonest that you make that decision, the easier it will be for you for the rest of your life. Any questions? No? First time I don't have any questions after. It must have been that clear.